this video, we're going to learn about parametric equations. So the first thing you have to recognize is, what are parametric equations? And they're actually a set of equations where we are defining x and y in terms of a separate shared variable, usually t, because we can have x and y in terms of time. When we're talking about physics, we're talking about really horizontal and vertical motion with respect to time. So that's where that comes from. But no matter what your context is, you can write parametric equations in vector format, where the first component is x in terms of t, and the second component is y in terms of t. So how are we going to convert a rectangular equation, something that's kind of our more traditional y equals equation, into a parametric equation? Well, we're going to start by setting x equal to t, and then we're going to replace every x in the y equation with t. That's going to then allow us to write our equation set in vector form, where again, we have the x component in the first spot, but we just said x was t, that's what we set it equal to, and we have our y component in the second spot. Let's take a look at an example. Let's say I give you y equals 2x plus 1. Remember, the first step is to set x equal to t. All right, then I'm going to substitute that into my equation. So this now becomes y equals 2t plus 1. Now that I have an equation for x, it equals t, and an equation for y, it equals 2t plus 1, I can write this in vector format, where the x comes in the first spot and y ends up in the second spot. So in this case, my parametric equations can be represented by the vector t, 2t plus 1. Let's take a look at another example. Let's say I have y equals 3x squared minus 4x plus 1. In this case, we're still going to set x equal to t, and we're still going to substitute it in. This gives us y equals 3t squared minus 4t plus 1. When I write this parametric equation in vector format, I'm going to have my x first and my y second, which really gives me t, 3t squared minus 4t plus 1. Now, that was going from rectangular format to parametric format. What if we need to go the other way? We need to start with the parametric equation and turn it into a rectangular equation. What we're going to do first is we're going to solve for t in the x equation. Once we've done that, we're going to replace the t from the y equation with what we found in step 1. So you solve for t in terms of x, you substitute that in for t in the y equation. Then you'll simplify. At the end of all this, you're going to have an equation that's in that rectangular format, that y equals style. One of the things you have to note here, though, before we move on, is that this method, this strategy, is also known as eliminating the parameter, because t is considered the parameter. So we're getting rid of the t. So we're leaving it just in terms of x and y instead of x, y, and t. So let's say I gave you the parametric equations, t plus 1, 3t. I'm going to start by actually writing these in separate component forms. So when I do that, I'm going to take that first component, I'm going to set it equal to x. I'm going to take the second component and set it equal to y. Now I have two equations here, one for x, one for y, and both are in terms of t. I'm going to solve the x equation for t. So x equals t plus 1. I'm going to start by flipping it to make it t plus 1 equals x. And then I will subtract 1 from both sides. Now I have solved for t in the x equation. I can substitute it into the y equation and simplify. So instead of y equals 3 times t, I'm going to have y equals 3 times x minus 1. When I distribute the 3, I get 3x minus 3. So that's the rectangular form of the parametric equation. Let's take a look at one more example. What about this one? 2t, t squared minus 1. Well, I'm still going to write the component equations separately. So x equals 2t and y equals t squared minus 1. Now that I have these separated, I'm going to be able to solve for t in the x equation. In this case, 2t equals x means I need to divide both sides by 2. So t equals 1/2 times x. Now I have that, I can substitute it into my formula for y. So I have y equals 1/2 x squared minus 1. I do need to simplify this. When I square 1/2 x, I'm really squaring 1/2 and I'm squaring x. This becomes 1/4 x squared minus 1. And that's how you work with parametric equations, both to rectangular format and back.